are the financial forces driving Asia's rise, from transnational business expansions and technology for digital growth to untapped opportunities in the region and beyond? Understand the trends, innovations and corporate deals that are building Asia. On Asia First, Monday mornings on CNA.
These are your top stories as weary residents of Australia's Victoria State are returning to their fourth lockdown as the authorities are racing to track the spread of a highly infectious variant of the coronavirus. And in Hong Kong, the media tycoon Jimmy Lai was sentenced today to 14 months in jail over his participation in an unauthorized assembly in 2019. He currently serves a 14-month sentence on other charges, and the judge says part of this new term will be served concurrently or consecutively. That means that Lai will be behind bars for at least 20 months. India's foreign minister is in the United States this week for talks on vaccine cooperation, security in the Indo-Pacific, and countering China's growing influence in this region. And speaking of India, this news just in from India. They've reported more than 186,000 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 within the last 24 hours. Now, this is the lowest daily rise in those infection numbers for 44 days. A top health official there said yesterday their second wave is stabilizing. Now, even though the infection numbers have fallen from their peak of 400,000 and 300,000 a day, their deaths from COVID-19 continues to rank above the 3,000 mark. India reported more than 3,600 additional deaths within the last 24 hours. More than 318,000 people have died in India since the start of this pandemic, and the total caseload stands at more than 27 million. Extending the state of emergency and tightening their quarantine measures in Japan while they're pulling out all the stops. It's 2 months ahead of the start of the Tokyo Olympics, with growing calls that they, in fact, cancel the games. A senior official says that the Japanese government plans to extend that state of emergency by nearly a month over Tokyo and 8 other prefectures. That state of emergency would have expired at the end of this month, but now it might be extended till June the 20th. And the games are due to begin a month after that, from July the 23rd. Japan will make a formal decision on that after their Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga consults today with a panel of experts. Japan, meantime, reported more than 4,100 new infections and an additional 111 deaths yesterday. They have been struggling to control the spread of a highly new infectious variant of the coronavirus. So from today, those entering from India and several other countries must self-isolate at government-designated facilities for 10 days. Now, the head of Japan's doctors' union has warned the authorities cannot deny the possibility of a new strain emerging if those Summer Olympics are held.
コロナと戦いに勝利するためには、このような動きを止める必要があります。そのために私たちは東京オリンピックの中止を求めました。
Health experts in the United States have also said plans to hold the Summer Olympics in Tokyo are not informed by the best scientific evidence, and they've called for urgent assessment of those health risks, with the idea of proceeding with the Games, also additional measures to mitigate those risks. But not everyone is against the event. The European Union has backed Japan's decision to hold these Olympics, saying that will be a symbol of global unity. COVAX say they need an additional $2 billion within the week in order to boost coronavirus inoculation programs in the lower income countries. And they warn the consequences could be catastrophic if the current urgent shortfall is not addressed. The global vaccine sharing program, COVAX, has already delivered 70 million doses to 126 countries. But it's a shortfall of 190 million doses by the end of next month. That is owing to the severe impact of its supply from the surge of infections from India. COVAX wants to deliver 2 billion doses of the vaccine around the world this year and 1.8 billion doses to 92 of the low-income economies by early next year. But the WHO says Africa is going to need at least 20 million of those doses from AstraZeneca within the next 6 weeks in order to get the second round of vaccines to those who have already received the first dose. The EU says they will send 100 million doses to the low-income countries by the end of the year. And the United States has pledged 80 million of those doses. But they've not said how the jabs will be distributed, nor specified which countries will receive those 80 million. Now, there are more U.S. states jumping on the incentives bandwagon to try and encourage their residents to get vaccinated. The latest and most lucrative yet are cash and gift cards worth more than $116 million for residents of California.
We're doing that in order to encourage you, not only with that $50 gift card, but with this significant prize and incentive program. So it's multifaceted, $116.5 million we're setting aside for these efforts. Those gift cards, again, those incentive cards will run through till we run out, 2 million of them.
These are some of the efforts in the state to boost the vaccinations before they fully reopen by the middle of next month. Quite apart from the gift cards, there are 10 people who will be able to win $1.5 million each. Another 30 will receive $50,000 each. The state estimates 12 million eligible Californians have not yet been vaccinated. New Yorkers are also cashing in on the multiple incentives that are offered throughout their city, from Junior's Cheesecake in Brooklyn to Krispy Kreme donuts in Times Square. You can get all of that by simply flashing your vaccine card.
Because the sooner everyone gets vaccinated, the sooner we get back to normal. The sooner we get to not wear this anymore.
I came for my free cheesecake because I got vaccinated.
Get vaccinated and get a free donut.
I don't want to say this is one of the reasons I got vaccinated, because it wasn't, but it's definitely a plus.
All right, back in Japan, it's sexism that has returned to the spotlight, this time around in the education sector. A new study published by the Japanese newspaper Mainichi has found girls still need higher scores to get into 80% of Tokyo's public high schools, despite attempts to address those discrepancies. Since 1998, Tokyo's education board has been applying corrective measures to nearly 40 schools every year. Now, before that, some 90% of the high schools had different entrance scores for boys as they did for girls. Now, it seems nothing much has changed in the last 5 years. Tokyo's public high schools have also had separate enrollment caps based on the ratio of boys to girls at junior high schools. Japan's education ministry does admit the system is not ideal, but they still maintain it's logical. And this isn't the first time Japan has come under fire for gender inequality. In 2018, at least 9 medical schools were found to have manipulated their admissions to exclude female students. All those schools deny any wrongdoing. Google has not been able to block a U.S. class action lawsuit over gender pay disparity brought on behalf of nearly 11,000 women. 4 women sued their former employer over claims that Google has paid their men more for doing the same job. Now, this case seeks more than $600 million in damages. Google is alleged to have paid the women far less salaries, smaller bonuses, and less stock compared with the men in similar positions. The tech giant, of course, refutes these allegations, and they've tried to block the plaintiffs in their bid to represent a larger group of disgruntled employees in this lawsuit. Trial is expected to begin next year. Henry will be back in just a moment with your Asia Business Update. We'll find out also what people in Singapore